Are you considering moving to New Braunfels or even living here? Well, I have my top 5 things that you need to know before you live here. So stay tuned. Hello everyone, I'm Doug Vogel. I'm a real estate agent and a firefighter here in New Braunfels. So if you have any questions about moving or living here in New Braunfels, please message me or comment below and I'll be happy to get back with you. So let's get started with our video. All right, one thing that you need to know is about the schools. Here in New Braunfels, we have 2 different school districts. We have Comal ISD and New Braunfels ISD as well. Plus, we have numerous other private schools, and I'll talk about that here in just a minute. Let's go back to Comal ISD. It's a great school district. It's one of the largest school districts in the state of Texas, especially land-wise. They stretch out through a couple different counties, so it's definitely a large school district, and it definitely has some pros to it, just as in has lots of money and just good schools. Now, their mascot is the Cougars for Comal High School here in New Braunfels. So now New Braunfels ISD, their mascot, believe it or not, is the unicorns. To my knowledge, that's the only mascot that's the unicorn. So people take it very seriously around here in New Braunfels. Either you're a cougar or a unicorn, and it's not to be laughed at too much. Anyways, New Braunfels is a smaller district, it's mainly just in New Braunfels. It's definitely a good school district. It is smaller, so they don't have quite as much money as the Comal ISD, but definitely a good district to be in. And when I was talking about private schools, there are numerous private schools. There's Mother's Day out as well here in New Braunfels. So no matter what age of child you have, there's a school here for them of some sort. So it's definitely, New Braunfels is very good for education in your kids. It just depends on what your preference is and what school district and where you want them to go. One thing you need to know when you're moving or living here in New Braunfels is where to live in reference to the flood areas. New Braunfels has a tendency to flood. We have 2 rivers here in New Braunfels. We have the Guadalupe River and also the Comal River. So the Comal River starts and ends in New Braunfels and feeds into the Guadalupe River. So when it rains, we get several inches of rain or 12 inches of rain. A lot of times that water, as it's coming down the rivers, starts to back up into the neighborhoods. So that's definitely one thing that you need to know about that. And a lot of the flood maps may or may not show where the flooding really did occur, and that's why you need a good local to tell you that's been here for a while. Say, hey Doug, this area flooded, and it may not be on the flood map, but you just need to know that it had 6 inches or 12 inches of water in it. So that's the last thing you want to have to worry about when you live here is, do you live in a flood area? One thing that you also need to know is that several neighborhoods only have one way in and one way out. So when you're looking for a place to live, you need to know that you may not be able to get in, because a lot of the areas have low water crossings, and when the water comes up, it comes up really fast, and because all the hill country, everything's rock around here, and the water just starts running fast, and the low water crossings just get flooded, and so you may be stuck in your home or to where you can't get out of the neighborhood for a while. But one thing about it is the water comes up fast, but it also goes down fast, so that's definitely a plus. But anyways, that's just one thing for sure you need to know in reference to the flooding here in New Braunfels. It doesn't happen every year, but when it happens, it usually happens pretty big. I often work with clients that are moving to Texas, especially the New Braunfels area, and after they've been here for a little while, they say, Doug, my allergies are just killing me. I just have a sinus headache and nasal drain, stuff like that. And it's like, I bet it's probably from the cedar that we have here. It's definitely a thing around January, February here in town. We have a lot of cedar. It's like a big evergreen bush that grows out in the hill country, and when it starts pollinating in January, February, all that pollen, especially from the little northerly winds, gets pushed down out of the hill country and starts creating, cedar fever and just cedar allergies. Another allergy is elm and mold and oak. Oak is a big one. Even my daughter, she has issues, especially in February and March when the oak tree starts to bloom and drop their leaves and the pollen starts coming. She gets miserable for about 2 to 3 weeks, and it's just, again, runny eyes, kind of little headaches and just regular allergy issues. But it's just definitely something that you need to know when you're moving here to the New Braunfels area, is that the cedar and especially the oak, those are the two biggest ones that get most people. It's just, you can take some over-the-counter medications to help alleviate some of the symptoms, but it only takes 2 or 3 weeks, and usually it's over in the rest of the year. You'll probably be pretty good. One question I get asked quite a bit from clients that are moving from out of state is, Doug, why are the property taxes so high? And I tell them, I said, well, Texas is a no state income tax, which is a good thing, but also, again, our property taxes are higher. So it's not a bad thing. That money goes to paying for teachers and keeping our roads fixed and city services. So it's not a bad thing. It's just one thing you need to know. Talking about taxes is that in New Braunfels, there's certain areas of New Braunfels that have a higher tax rate, and the average tax rate, I guess, is 2.20%. It can be just a little higher, a little lower, but for the most part, that will be, I give you a good idea. Now, there's some other areas in New Braunfels, newer developments, where they're paying a higher tax rate, like 2.45 or even higher, and that increase is to help pay for the infrastructure, and that's called a MUD, a Municipal Utility District, and it's like a bond that's over 30 years. They are going to tax you for the improvements that they were put in. So that's one thing that you need to know, because that affects your payments and your expenses of, when you move here to New Braunfels. So just definitely one thing to check and thing you need to know before moving here. One thing you need to know before you live here or move here to New Braunfels is that New Braunfels has a lot of tourism, and that may be what brought you here originally, is that all the attractions such as Schlitterbahn. We have 2 rivers, Comal River and Guadalupe River, that you can tube in, recreation, swim in, all that good stuff. We also have Downtown Green, which is home of the famous Green Hall. So all that's great, but it's just with all that tourism brings lots of traffic, and the hotels are full, the restaurants are full, especially during the summer, from like Memorial Day all the way to Labor Day. That's a big thing here in town, which is, I encourage people to come. That's what makes New Braunfels such a great town, or one of the things. But it's just, you need to know, like, the traffic starts getting pretty busy, especially going out towards Canyon Lake, which is not too far from New Braunfels. A lot of people stay in New Braunfels, and then they'll go from here to San Marcos outlet malls and shop there for the day. So again, the tourism is great. We welcome that. Please come. But if you're going to move here or live here, you just need to know that that could be a thing that can cause a little bit of tension sometimes, but there's always workarounds, especially the traffic. You just learn the back roads and when and where to go at certain times of the day. As you can see, New Braunfels is a great place. There are several things that you need to know. By all means, this is not everything you need to know, but in my opinion, the top 5 things that you need to know before you move here or live here. So if you have any questions or comments, make sure you leave them below, and I'll be happy to get back with you.